Sup, bitches?
Oh, it never ceases to make me laugh. I'm like, what voice is Randy gonna do today?
That was not at all. That did not come out how I thought it was gonna, but it's.
It looked like it was a
funny.
surprise to you too.
Yeah. You guys are lucky you don't get to see our faces.
Yeah, honestly. If you're on Patreon, maybe one day we'll do a live recording. You can get a video.
Yes.
Get a video, because it's pretty entertaining.
Maybe one of our bonus episodes will be a video.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good times.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what are we talking about today?
what are we talking about today?
Of course you deflect that back to me.
No, we're going to talk. Okay, you guys. So I feel like this is it's a cliche for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to kind of discuss the low-key ins and outs of why you don't judge a book by its motherfucking cover.
Yes. And it's inspired by some conversations we had just like at dinner, really. And it's so fascinating with like the categorization of spirituality lately. Or even just anything. It doesn't have to be spirituality.
Just categorization in general.
Yeah, in general. And that what you think you need or what you expect something to be isn't always that. And then we sometimes like diminish a person who really holds a certain gift or holds a certain essence because they don't look how you think they need to.
Totally. You know what this reminds me of? I don't know why this popped in my head, but I'm going to say it. You know how, like, again, we're talking about, this reminds me of last week's episode where we're being all judgy or gossipy, but like you see somebody with somebody and it doesn't seem to be a good, like a match. And you're like, why is she with him?
Mm-hmm.
Or why are those two together? How does that work?
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree.
Yeah. I feel like we're not really talking about what we're talking about at all right now. And I just feel like listeners are like, what?
Okay, well, let's just lay down a really good example.
Oh my God, this is like the first time we've jumped into it so quick, I think.
Yeah, that is weird.
We usually always fucking banter first.
And bullshit for like a little bit about straight nothing.
Probably because for like 20 minutes before this, we just shot the shit.
Yeah, and now we're finally recording. So.
And now we are.
Yeah. So a great example is that my sister...
Hi, Alyssa.
Yeah, what's up? She's gotten she's 9 years younger than me. So she's like on her little, her awakening journey right now. And she's been getting readings and stuff. And they're like, you're a spirit walker. You're like the shadow worker of destruction and all this stuff. And she's a little tiny, bubbly, blonde hair, blue-eyed girl.
Not who you would picture as the bringer of death.
Yes. And the spirit walker is the fucking bringer of death. Mm-hmm. And guess what? She's a cute little nurse who works on the ICU. So yes, she does bring death. And you know what? I hope no one is listening to this that works with her that knows this, because I don't want to sell her out. But people constantly take a turn from health. They don't die on her shift, which thank God, or someone would start to wonder. But they'll just take a big turn for the worst and they'll exit on the next person's shift. And she's just she noticed it before she was even told that she was a spirit walker. And she's like, man, people just suddenly don't do good on my shift. And she's like, I don't feel bad about it. And turns out she's a spirit walker.
Totally.
And she's been told these kinds of things numerous times. And then in the Akashic records, I've been able to validate it. But what do you think a spirit or a death bringer looks like?
A goth girl?
Yeah. Or really intense and I imagine them quiet and kind of mean mugging all the time.
Mm-hmm. Or dark and tortured artists.
Yeah.
You know?
Or they're not gonna really loners.
Mm-hmm.
My sister's almost the opposite of all of these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what brought up the conversation. It's I think with the witch movement and the pagan movement kind of coming out of the grassroots, it's there's this really, it's becoming kind of a hot button thing to be a spirit walker or be working with death and destruction. And it's man, you don't have to look like a witch or look a certain way. And what does a witch even look like?
Me?
Yeah. Seriously. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's we have to just cut it out.
Yeah.
Because labels will and categorization and assumptions just box you in.
What was like, okay, so let's pretend you don't know Alyssa.
Not a fucking chance. I would ever assume that of her.
Never. What would you peg her as though?
Literally like a light worker, like spreading joy and hope and like happiness.
Yeah, and
a
like,
healer, like one of those like people that like, you know, just
let's
like
open
gentle
your heart
healing.
chakra.
Yeah.
Like I see her like leading meditation circles
Yeah.
and like women's circles and being like, today, let's open, you know?
Yeah.
No. It's
Bitch almost does the opposite of that.
yeah, isn't that fucking nuts?
It's insane.
What would you say you were? If you didn't know.
Well, the thing is, I have a really skewed version of what people see of me. I don't know. I think people, this is what I think. I think people see like a bubbly like person, but then I've also been told you come off really serious and like dry. And I'm like, that's interesting. I didn't know I came off that way.
Really?
I don't know. But I think like the wisdom I hold is unassuming. I don't think people expect that from me unless you know me.
Yeah. But if you had to categorize yourself, like before your awakening, let's pretend you don't read Akashic records for a living.
So this is literally one of my problems. I think I'm like an evil, ragey, too much person, but I think I tiptoe a little bit in like the la-di-da, like pixie world. So I think people see me in the la-di-da pixie world.
Oh yeah.
I think.
I can see that.
But I've been sort of conditioned to believe that I'm like angry and like fiery and like too much. So that's what I would normally have told you if it was like pre-awakening. But I think it's more the la-di-da pixie kind of thing.
Yeah, I see the more la-di-da pixie, like for sure.
So I have like
I'm gonna go and do my life.
Yeah, I have like a wound here. So I like see myself in this really dark light. But I think more people are like, yeah, like she travels, everything comes easy to her, blah, blah, blah. She's clueless. I think that's what people perceive me as if they didn't know me. Clueless.
I can see, yeah, I can see how you would. But you know what? I think you put that on to a certain degree.
Maybe.
Like
it avoids me having to like showcase this fiery side that I've rejected.
Well, it's not just that. I think you don't like people knowing how smart you are.
Totally. I kind of like being unassuming.
Flying under the radar.
Yeah. And I like when people are like shocked. Like I used to like that. When people were like, oh, this girl doesn't know shit. And then suddenly people were like, holy fuck. Yeah. I have this like, I don't know what it is. I don't like, when I talk about numbers, I'm not talking about math.
Yeah.
But I can memorize facts and figures. Like I'll take that to my grave. Like I'll remember a statistic forever.
That's how it was about phone numbers. I could remember people's phone numbers.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
I had like when I worked at the police station, I knew like the numbers that we would call on speed dial. I would just know the numbers.
Wow, that's
or the cool. Internal numbers within the building. Like my partner used to, well, one of them, because we switched all the time. But my one partner would look at me and be like, hey, what's this number? Wow. And I would rattle it off. Same with dates of birth of the regulars. What's so-and-so's birthday again? Oh, it's July 70 or July 10th of 70.
Yeah, I can remember birthdays really well.
You know?
I used to work with clients and we'd have to report on them. And the way you'd get in to access them is like their birthday and then the random number they were assigned. I didn't really care much about the random number, but I fucking had everyone's birthday memorized.
I used to know every officer on my shifts' badge numbers.
Wow. That's so cool.
Like, how though? How do you know that?
I have no idea.
Like, why do I remember that, but I couldn't remember what the fuck I had for breakfast? I still know a lot of those guys' badge numbers, and it's been like 3 years since I worked there.
That's crazy. It's really fascinating what you choose to like find interesting and like commit to memory.
I don't even think I found it interesting. I just think it's like something that I easily remember.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. What would you think people perceive of you? Now I'm curious.
Of me?
Yeah. Like, what's the first impression you think people get?
A rebel.
Yeah, I could see that.
The rebel weirdo.
I wouldn't say I ever thought when I first met you that I didn't think you're a weirdo, but I was like, this girl doesn't give a fuck about anything. But I don't even think that's incorrect.
Meanwhile, I give a fuck about too much.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I know, it's so interesting. But you know what? Speaking of like first impressions and like me wanting to look a different impression, obviously it's not clear because I'm like very out there now, but I actually love the feeling of being anonymous. I don't think that's a common thing. I feel like maybe you and I both have it.
See, I never used to. I like to stand out. I think this is why I was such a fucking little weirdo. Because I'm like, ooh, I'm going to be a rebel. I'm going to a Catholic school where I have to wear my uniform and it's all girls and in your face black nail polish. I started a trend. I started several trends, but it doesn't matter. But I mean, like, that's what I thrived on, was being different. And now I'm just like, let me back into the shadows and you don't even see. It's like the penguins at Madagascar. You didn't see anything,
Totally. And you know what? I was always like, I told you, as a little like emo kid, like I definitely like always had, I've been told several times that you have a unique sense of style, but it wasn't like a cute compliment. It was like, you're fucking weird. So I've always been like weird looking. Let's just call it that. But I don't want people to notice me. So I like moved around. Like when I went to school, I got as far away from this place as I could. Then I went to America. Then I came back. And my favorite moments were like, and now that I think about it, it's kind of like not maybe that common, but was moving to these new cities and not knowing a single person.
There's a freedom in that, hey?
Oh yeah. You could just, it's like, it's not that you really reinvented yourself, but you could be totally yourself. And no one had any like preconceived notions or ideas. You're just like, yeah, just here.
Yeah. See, yeah. Especially growing up in this town.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, my dad fucking knows everybody and their dog. I swear to God, which means they know me by association, even though I don't know them.
Right. Totally.
But I did a fuck ton of plays.
Right.
And I was known back in the day, believe it or not. Like, I used to get people coming up to me on the street, like a little celebrity. Oh, wow. I saw you in blah, blah, blah. Shit like that. So there was no way I could have disappeared.
Oh, wow, for sure.
With my dance students and their parents. Like, it was just, there was no...
Wow, that's so cool.
It was just no way.
I grew up on a farm. And I went to a farm school. And there was 8 kids in my class.
Awesome.
So when I came to the city for high school, I was very anonymous. But I was like, high school was not a time for me. Like, if people are like, I wish I could go back. And I was like, I would never go back to high school. Not in a million years.
Funny, because so many people have that experience where they're like, high school, fucking gag me with a spoon, shoot me, stick a fork in my eye. And I'm like, I would totes go back to high school.
Oh, really? Graham's the same way. Graham's like, I loved high school. I would go back. And I'm like, ooh.
But again, I didn't go to a typical high school either.
That's true.
I went to a Catholic all-girls school where we wore uniforms every day and we're kind of shut away. Like, we literally, the place was fenced in, and the fence would close during school hours and the whole bit. And it was just like, yeah, we were just kind of in our own little world. And I loved it. A lot of girls didn't love it. No boys, couldn't get out. No, it was like, this was my dream world.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah. I don't know.
The little introvert in me is like, yes.
Yeah. I had just like too many self-esteem issues to be a teenage girl. This wasn't a good time. So.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely still had that.
Yeah.
But, and you know what? Girls are worse than guys when it comes to
when you're being when you're a teenager, especially.
Like you know what? Not even teenage girls, just women in general can be fucking mean, like worse than men.
Yeah. Men are fucked up too, though. I'm not going to sit around and tell them that. They're just like real cash about it. And they're like they get a social free pass. Because when guys say something like that, everyone's like, oh, he just is being honest. But when girls say, I don't know. I don't like to give that to people, but like in high school, it's true.
Never had that experience though.
Oh,
I hung out with a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Mind you, we were kind of an interesting group.
Guys gossip so much, though.
They do.
But they're not loud about it.
I'm sorry?
And they don't spread rumors. They just talk shit to each other, and everyone just minds their business and goes on.
Guys are almost worse than girls when it comes to gossip.
Right? They're so bad for it. Yeah. And then, yeah, like, girls are mean, but I also want to just, like, I feel like we're socially conditioned to, like, fight each other. Because if we united, we're, like, and I don't care what anyone says, we're the powerful ones. By design. We bring life. We will end life. We're in control here.
Oh, this is straight Kali energy.
Yes, right? So, it's like, women are taught to fight each other, and we're conditioned socially because, again, divide and conquer, divide and conquer.
It's not even just
divide and
women.
conquer.
Nowadays, it's like fight everybody.
Oh yeah, and they're conditioning men too, just in different ways, right? Divide and conquer, divide and conquer.
Yeah, it's scary.
Oh God, it's fucked up.
I dream of a day when we're all back together.
And you know what? That's where we're going.
I know.
But for the love of God, everyone on the other end, do your part to stop dividing and conquering.
Yeah.
Just don't. You know, there's so much going on right now. And there's always a war. There's always a war. The elections are coming up. Are you liberal or are you this? Are you conservative or are you that? Did you get vaccinated or did you not? Do you care about COVID or do you not? And it's just like, oh my God, what do you think they're doing, people?
Yeah.
Just stop. It doesn't fucking matter.
You know what? When we were all just souls floating around, we had no labels.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
We were just us.
Yep.
Floating around.
And there was like an essence
thing.
of like understanding. You didn't have to like everybody. That's something I do know. But you just don't care.
There's like an acceptance.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Oh, I can't wait to get back to that. And you know what? It's a choice. I know we're conditioned to believe it's not a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But it is legit a choice. Whether or not you're going to, I don't know what the right word would be.
Well, like judging people, right? If you're going to judge
isolate
somebody who's not you, leave them out, isolate them. Again, judging a book by its cover, right? Like,
yeah.
We just assume that everyone who's on the opposing political party is someone who definitely undermines every value that you have. But sometimes that's not true. They just hold a specific value, one specific value that fits better, slightly better into the one category and not the other.
Yeah.
But if it came down to removing women's rights, they probably never stand for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, and then sometimes we have to wonder, like, why does it make you so mad? Why does what someone else chooses to do make you so fucking mad?
Because it's projection.
I know. And I'm like learning that right now. I'm like, there's so many things that when I see people, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with that person? But then suddenly you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
This is either a wound I have had that I'm rejecting, something I've done that I'm rejecting.
Or something I am doing
that I'm rejecting.
Yeah. This is what I do with my clients.
Oh, for sure.
You know? And I say it 1,000,001 times, triggers are our teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They are our best teachers. And this is why we need our ego. Yes. You know? But it's... Man, it's very hard to point that out to somebody who's not ready to hear it.
I know.
You know?
I know. I'm like, I should get you to, the program that I'm launching or whatever that's coming up.
It's got to be, close to this week?
Yeah. So there's a module in there and I channeled the fuck out of it and it just came out and it's so triggering. And I'm like so nervous for people to listen to it. But I'm like,
that means it's needed.
I was like, people need to hear this. Like,
wait till my course comes out. God help them all.
I know, right? It's just so bad. But I think people that are on that self-development path are ready to hear that.
Absolutely.
It's like the people that get bombarded by information that they didn't want to hear, right?
Yep. And I mean, if you're signing up for Kayla's course or you're listening to us, you may still have a little bit of cognitive dissonance, but it's not as severe as it once was. See, here's the thing. It's so funny to look back, and I'm such a different person now. Same. And I've mentioned that I have problems with cancel culture before. And I don't like when people are like, oh, well, 10 years ago, you said this and you did this. Let's cancel you now for these things you said 10 years ago. And it's like, people are allowed to grow. People are allowed to change. Stop bringing up somebody's past and all their past mistakes because they've grown from that. Stop judging them for the person they once were when they've worked so hard to be who they are now, and you're completely undermining that and completely painting them with the wrong brush, and it pisses me right off.
Oh my God, I love that you said that, because I know about cancel culture, but I've always looked at it in a different lens and never really applied it to myself. But I had a group of friends that I stepped away from a year ago, maybe, and that was what they did to me. I had done all this growth and learning, and they'd known me since I was in high school. Oh, you're just going to read Akashic Records? Oh, yeah, you've grown so much. This is so funny. You're going to charge people for this? And it's like, you guys have constantly rejected these parts of me that have been off the beaten path, and now I've turned it into something. And you can't handle that. And they would just constantly, anytime I was doing good, remind me of all the stupid shit I did when I was in college or high school.
I'm so glad that when I was young, there was no such thing as social media.
Oh, man.
Like when I was in high school, this is how old I am, folks. There was no social media. Nobody had cell phones unless it was for an emergency.
Actually, I caught the end of that. Facebook was just starting when I graduated, so I didn't get it until I was already out of high school.
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
You're such a baby.
I know, right?
I was out almost 10 years before Facebook came on the scene.
Crazy.
I don't ever think of you and I that far apart in age, though.
I know, me neither.
But there's like very close to a decade.
Yeah, like 9 years, I think. Yeah, 9 years almost exactly.
Because you're what?
I was in 1990.
1990, yeah, 9 years.
Mm-hmm. But somehow we still find common ground, so that's good.
It's all good. I'm a young person. Just kidding. I'm so not.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah. That was actually an argument my sister and I used to have all the time.
What was that?
Because she was the older sister, right? And people would meet us, and people always thought I was older. Mm-hmm. Always. Because, well, I'm an old soul, right?
Totally.
And more mature, because my soul is way older than hers. Like, it's very obvious, right?
Yeah. And
she would tell me, no, it's not because you're more mature. It's because you look like a weathered old hag. Oh, God. She still says that to this day. She calls me a weathered old hag.
God. Yeah, see, that's a perfect example of someone who's a younger soul.
Yeah.
Nobody would make that joke.
I'm like, weathered old hag. Thank you.
That's funny.
I'm like, living my crone life over here. You know? My wisdom is coming out.
Oh, that's
what I say about my wrinkles. I'm like, oh, look, my wisdom's coming out.
Sorry, but do you even have wrinkles?
Can you not see these?
Well, when you do that, she just like squinches her whole face. Everybody has wrinkles when they do that.
No. You know where I'm really noticing it? But my whole family has this. My mom actually had to have surgery, and so did my aunt for the same thing. But right here, like above your eyelids, the like droopiness. And this used to be my favorite part of my eyes. Was right here.
Oh no.
And now I'm like,
can't you just like energetic facelift the shit out of that?
I can if I remember to do it.
Oh man.
I do, because I think about it, and I'm like, oh, okay. We're okay.
I know. I need to keep you close to me because I need that for as I age.
It's all good. I'm going to teach you how to do it so you can do it to me.
Hey, there you go. Hey. We can just trade.
There you go. I love how we're just literally talking about nothing and you guys are listening in. It's like we're all hanging out together.
I know. It's the best. I like that. And it feels like y'all are here with us too. It's fun.
It does. We can feel your energy. It's cool. Yeah, I like it.
It does. We can feel their energy, which is cool.
Yeah. It's very neat. Love it.
I've never actually put two and two together, but I can like feel people.
Because it literally feels like there's a room full of people right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh man. What the fuck are we talking about?
I don't know. We got sidetracked talking about stuff.
Judging people by...
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And right. Like, I feel like you carry witchy vibes, but I don't know, maybe like, clearly you're a witch. We've talked about your past life.
Yes.
And it's like...
my grandma told me when she died that we come from a long line of witches.
And that's cool. Because no grandma will randomly say that.
Not this one.
Did I ever tell you guys or you how my awakening happened with my grandma? It's weird. Something about grandmas. Here we are again.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
So this is another common thing. You have grandma history that kind of triggered your gifts. And then my grandma, she was a silent, old school, farmer wife who had massive amounts of trauma, but she wasn't really loving or affectionate in any way. And very just flat kind of,
Very quintessential farm wife of the times. Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, we're sitting at her house, we're visiting, and I love my grandma, but she was quintessential farm wife of the time. So we're watching TV, and I've got to be
a victim of her own circumstances.
Yes. So I've got to be like 16. Like I'm not that young at this time. And we're watching like Paranormal Activity or something like that.
Oh my
Paranormal
God.
Stories.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this and my grandma's just like sitting there watching it with me. And then they just throw in like a random like UFO story. And it's like the classic UFO comes up on a vehicle, and it's a police vehicle nonetheless. And it's stalled out the vehicle, which is very classic UFO encounter story. So nothing worked, nothing would turn on. And I'm just like, wow, that's neat. My grandma, who never talks, looks at me and says, oh, that happened to me once. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, you mean you've seen a flying saucer? And she's like, yeah, and I stopped my car. Yeah.
Shut up.
I'm serious. And then I was like, and what happened? She's like, well, you don't even know what's going on at the time. And it stopped her vehicle because she was so fucked up. She was thinking about like driving over a cliff. They came down, they stopped her car, and they said they wouldn't turn it. Well, I don't know what she saw. She calls it an angel.
Oh, okay.
Calls it an angel because she wasn't really. And they said, if you don't, then they talked to her in her mind.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you don't.
Again, another UFO trait.
Yeah.
Or alien trait.
Yeah. And then they're like, if you don't turn this car back around, or if you don't go home, we're never going to turn your car on. So eventually, she was like, okay, what the fuck's happening? I'm going home. So she turned the car on, went home, and checked herself into the hospital. So
this is the greatest story I've ever heard.
I'm fucking serious. And this was when I was like, I already think about weird things, but if my random quintessential grandma from the farm is telling me a UFO story, I must look into this. And that's how it all started. I was like, I need to know everything about aliens. Why did they come here? Why are they trying to make my grandma not drive off a cliff? Like,
oh my God.
Right? I can't believe I never
But like,
told you
does that make you think like how fucking cool is your grandma that they chose her?
To stop her?
Yes.
Exactly. That was like my quest. I was like, why?
When did that happen?
Oh, man. Her youngest child was still a baby.
Holy shit.
She would have been like, I don't know, like 40, 45. Because she had this child like a little bit later. It was a surprise.
Wow.
Right? And then it's like, I was just kind of, and I was 16. I was into conspiracy theories, but not that kind of conspiracy theory. So I was like, I kind of was just stunned. And then it's like, I missed the boat to like ask her more questions. And I was like, damn it. So.
Wow.
Right?
That's fucking cool.
Isn't it? And she said that she's seen an angel, in quotation marks, twice in her life. I was like, oh, I've been visiting her for a while, I guess.
Wow.
Right?
So that reminds me of a story. It's not really my story to tell, though.
I just changed the names.
Well, it's about Keith. But he doesn't listen to this.
He doesn't listen, it's fine.
So I think it was when he was at his like cabin when they were little. Like he was young. And he remembers seeing lights and shit outside his cabin.
Oh, damn it.
And like,
I'm just jealous. That's why I'm saying damn it.
You know what? Ask him about it. I don't remember all the details. He doesn't talk about it very often. But it's like he remembers these lights coming.
Oh, man.
And I was like, whoa. And like he's like we're totally into researching like him more so than me, like ancient civilizations, and so much stuff like says that aliens came without saying aliens, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And like now there's all this disclosure shit and stuff, and I'm like, this was interesting.
Yes.
I feel like I should have told that story better.
No, it's so
But,
interesting. And one time, because I've been, ever since that time, I've been like for lack of a better term, obsessed with aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm just like,
but it so makes sense though.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe the whole point was to bring you around.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, wake me up, get me going?
No, but like if your grandma
mm-hmm.
had driven off a cliff,
hey,
then maybe your mom would have married someone different and you wouldn't be around.
Oh my God, that's cool.
And because why else would she share it with you?
That's true, because she told the story different to me than she told it to anyone else. She wouldn't have been like, a UFO was stopped in my car. Because she never would have said that.
Never.
She just said an angel stopped me.
Mm-hmm.
There was no UFO shut my car down. It just happened to be that I was sitting there and that was on the TV. And I was like,
and if somebody else would have been there, she probably wouldn't have said it.
Exactly. Wow, that's so cool. It's like nothing in our life is an accident. It's freaking bizarre.
Right?
Oh, so neat. So neat. But that whole side of the family is star people central.
Huh.
My mom may or may not be the only person that's like not looking at that. They're
Well,
like,
just because she's
"No."
not looking at it doesn't mean it's not there.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, that's like my mom's family. Because, okay, so my grandma, I mean, they were all raised Jehovah's Witness. You don't even celebrate birthdays, you know? And, like when she passed and came back, and she told me we were all witches from a long line from like,
man, that's cool.
Like we're all Norwegian, so like somewhere from over there. I think she told me, but I don't remember. And but she like was like, every one of my mom's sisters has gifts, and all the even the guys coming down like that line have gifts as well, but it's not as prevalent as the females.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, I have a couple of aunts who are still Jehovah's Witness, and this would never, right?
Yeah.
Ever. You would ever speak of it. But, like, so they have gifts. And so I remember after she came to me and told me this, because I also have my aunt who's passed away, who's, like, one of my guides, and she's very proud of it, that she turned into this. And it was like... If you knew her in real life, you'd be like, oh yeah, like for sure. Hey, Wanda. Like, you know.
Wanda, that's the best name.
Oh my gosh, she's fucking awesome. But she had me after my grandma told me this, there was a particular crystal, which is dendritic opal. Yeah, dendritic opal, also known as merlinite. And it's kind of like for like spirit communication and stuff. She had me, like we went through, I think it was eBay. And she handpicked these pendants or a ring for each one of her sisters that was still alive. And I had to write these letters that was like, hey, Auntie Wanda came to me and wants me to send you this. This is the, kind of what it's about. This is the crystal that's in it.
Cool.
And I mailed them to each one of my aunts except for two, because she's like, they'll freak them out. Like, don't send them to these two.
Holy shit.
But, like, I sent them to each living sister.
Did you ever hear back from any of them?
Oh, yeah. And a lot of them still, like, they'll still wear them.
Holy fuck. And just speaking of that, do you know anything about witches in Norway? Because I know a life where I was in Norway and I was fucking hung.
Really?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We've probably known each other, like, 10 lifetimes.
When you said that, I was like, it's either Norway or Sweden. And as soon as you said Norway, I was like, oh, that seems like an ominous coincidence.
Yeah.
But I was like pigeonholed as a witch, but I don't feel like I was doing anything witchy, but did any of us ever feel that way?
No. You were probably like
a
healer. You were probably a healer.
I had an all-girls school.
Of course you did.
I had a daughter who was really, really smart, and like apparently girls weren't allowed to study certain things. And I was like, this one kid she's smarter than everyone. I was like, she needs to learn other things. So I like had this little like after school program for the girls, and I would teach them like probably witchy things. Mm-hmm. And I got busted for corrupting the youth.
Of course.
And I got hung.
For sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I should research that though.
Because that's weird. I was like, I don't think that's not a place you normally go in your mind being in North America. I'm like, oh, there's witches in Norway.
But apparently a very long line.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm like, well, that's bizarre.
Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't hear back from some of them. Like my mom had 6 sisters.
Oh man, that's a lot.
And so Auntie Wanda passed. And then the 2. So that's what? 7 minus 3 is 4.
What was your auntie's last name?
Married or non-married?
Married.
Jobin.
It's not the Wanda I know that passed away.
No.
Just real random.
You want to hear my mom's maiden name?
Yes.
No wonder she wanted to get rid of it. Heg.
Oh my god.
But
isn't that slang for a witch?
Hag, H-A-G, but these were H-E-G-G. But like, isn't that funny?
Like Norwegian kind of slang.
Like hag and then crones and then, like, isn't that kind of funny?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
And if you really like break it down, like everything has a meaning, like every number, every letter, because it's about frequency.
Yeah.
Right? Everything holds a certain vibration, so everything means something.
Yeah.
Which is really fascinating.
So funny.
Yours actually sounds like what it means, but
yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's bizarre. And like, there's one cousin that we've reconnected, and she lives in BC, and we've been chatting and stuff. And like, hi, if you're listening, Nikki. But she and I had a conversation about that, like how grandma came to me and stuff. And like, I think I know what one of her gifts are, but I'm not 100%, so I'm not going to say it. But I'm like, oh yeah.
Cool. Thanks,
Yeah.
Grandma.
I'm like, totally. I can see it. You know? So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's so cool. This is so fascinating.
I know. Like, I feel like, what were we talking about again?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Well, yeah, but you know what?
It fits in, though.
Look at, though, if you look to my family.
Exactly.
Never. Like,
My grandma?
Would you look at my mom and say she comes from a long line of witches?
Fuck no.
No. Absolutely not.
Would you look at my grandma and wonder if she had an alien connection? Fuck no.
Which she clearly does.
Yeah. Because she birthed a lot of weird alien people, like star people coming through my grandma, because all of her kids, weird as fuck. I love you guys, but you're weird.
Yeah, but don't you love that though?
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
They're the best. They were the best when I was a kid.
Totally excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally resonated with my mom's side more than my dad's.
Yeah, same.
Except for my grandparents. I was more connected to my grandma on my dad's side.
Same.
What the fuck? That's weird. It's so weird. Yeah, but she practically raised me until she passed away. But
I don't know. We lived in the same yard as my grandma. I don't know why.
that's right.
She was fucking funny. And then when she moved into PA, I would go there and I just worked right beside there. So I'd go have lunch with her because I lived on the farm. We were going to drive home for lunch. I wasn't going to just sit at the office. So I'd go visit my grandma. And she just feed me peanuts and cake and let me take a nap.
Love it.
I don't know. We just got super close. And I loved her sassiness. And now, only right now, am I putting together probably why she mentored me for that period of time. Because I'm sassy, but as you remember from the beginning of this podcast, I was trained and accepted that teaching that I wasn't supposed to be that way.
You're too much.
I'm too much. And that fucking grandma was too much, but no one fucked with her because she would have reamed you out and you weren't getting dessert.
Whoa. How dare you? Isn't that funny? I was like, that's the worst. Oh my God, she kept my dessert from me.
A farm wife, that
fucked up.
That was a fucking worst thing.
Right? Like, oh, don't piss her off.
Exactly.
Or like go without dinner.
Oh yeah. And like back then, like farmer men had never catch them cooking in your kitchen.
Hell no.
I'm gonna eat beets from the garden before they do that.
Yeah.
I had to have two farmer family grandparents. Which I thought was just normal because they were both farmers, but apparently that's not that normal.
I guess. See, my great grandparents were farmers. I love how people are just getting our family history. Like my dad's grandparents were farmers, and he grew up like going to their farm and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But my dad's dad ran a car dealership. And as for my mom's side, I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like maybe they were farmers. I don't think so though. Like I just remember as a kid they'd moved into town because I feel like they moved a lot, but I don't know. But they moved into town and they ran a mini golf place.
That's awesome. Like how do people from other countries...
Like I legit don't know what my grandparents did.
This is my question. So the reason my grandparents were farmers is because back in the day when this country was colonized, they stole land from the indigenous folk and then sold it off to people in other countries so they'd come and farm the land. So my parents or my grandparents were like farmers by default.
Nice.
Which is terrible.
They just kind of fell into it.
Yeah, but it's like, how the fuck did you not become a farmer and get to this country?
Well, yeah.
Somebody somewhere
I feel
must
like
have been
everybody
a farmer.
was a farmer back in the day. Or you were helping people with the old settlements.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So crazy.
But you see, this is what we mean, like about not judging a book by a cover. Like, there are some crazy stories with some really people that don't seem crazy.
Right? Totally.
And then it's like, it's almost like sad. Like my grandma could have told some people about some of the shit that she went through and maybe she wouldn't have been so silent and like distant.
Oh, she probably would have been persecuted though in those days.
Yeah, maybe she was a witch too, and she would have been persecuted for sure.
Like it would have been like, oh, crazy.
Oh, for sure. Not a chance she would have got out of that. So there's a reason she had to hide it, but it's like back to the judgment thing. Just leave people alone.
Yeah.
If they piss you off, it's triggering you.
Yeah, that's a you problem.
It's a you problem. And it's like, that was a hard lesson I had to learn. I thought I was like this humble, person who helped people, like humility, like service to others, which got me in a lot of trouble, by the way. You don't have to look at life like that.
Yeah.
But anybody who was like holier than thou or stuck up or like thought that they were something, I was so frustrated by anyone like that. And it's like, it's probably because if you can get me on the right subject, or could, and hopefully I'm better now, but if you could get me on the right subject,
get off your soapbox, Kayla.
I would embody that. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And that's my shadow. My shadow is being a cocky princess.
What would you say my shadow is? Like, how would you even describe it?
The thing about your shadow, it's like a normal thing to have a shadow about. I hate mine. I still like, oh, why did I do that? For you, it was like you were persecuted for being a channel.
Yeah.
You're basically a witch who was persecuted. Now you're like, I don't want to talk about nothing and I don't want to be seen. Because last time I did that, I was burned at the stake.
Or the last 10 times I did that, I was fucking thrown in a dungeon and left for dead.
Like, it still hurts the same. A shadow is still the shadow.
Yeah.
It still feels the same. But like, everyone's like, oh yeah, that would suck. For me, you know what mine was? I was born into power and I was supposed to use that life to help people. But I got like really comfy with people doting on me and I was beautiful and people wanted to marry me. And I got a little bit too wrapped up in that and didn't do shit. And then I was killed because I like flew a little too close to the sun. And it wasn't that, like, I'm still me.
Yeah.
So I was still like nice to some degree, but I got really wrapped up in playing
in your own self-importance.
Yeah. And it wasn't that I barked orders. I just liked how people swooned over me.
Mm-hmm.
And
I liked attention.
Yeah. And I didn't do anything with my power that helped anyone else. I just squandered it. And then I was killed in the end for getting too wrapped up in like marriage or like who was I going to be? Who was I going to be my king?
Yeah. And now you've you've completely overcorrected.
Completely overcorrected.
Remember the pendulum, kids.
I know. So it's like, but you know what? It's your shadow for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You're so angry and like rejected that archetype. So if it's your shadow, it's something that like is the least comfortable for you to play.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. It's getting more comfortable now. But like, oh my God. It's just like, don't ask me questions. Don't take my word for it. I would know something. I would know something backwards and forwards. Somebody would ask me a question. I'd give them an answer and I'd go, but don't take my word for it.
Right? And look at me over here. I don't need a man. I'm not getting married. I don't need this. I don't need people. I'm never going to take $1 in my life. Everything's for free. Going to volunteer. That's what I did. I overcorrected and I'm still working on that to come into the middle.
Yes.
Oh, man.
It's just funny.
I feel like I just realized things about myself literally by talking about this. It's like some of them I knew, but
this is like our therapy, you guys. You're listening to our therapy.
This is our therapy. Like, what are we even talking about? Thanks for giving a whole life history on podcast.
Yes.
It's okay. None of my family listens to this.
Well, even if they did.
What does it matter? It's truth.
Yeah, it is what it is.
My grandma ain't here anyway. And I don't think she'd mind.
Yeah, probably not.
It led to something good, her story. Like,
she's probably like, yeah, tell my story. Because I couldn't.
And then you know what else bothers me? This is something funny, and I think I told you about it before. Ever since that day, I was like, I want to see a UFO so bad. And I like go out, I try to manifest it. I go to CE5 events. I'm like, I want to see a fucking UFO. And one time I was in hypnosis and I literally asked, I'm like, how come no one ever shows me a UFO? And like, oh, you've seen them. We don't let you remember because you're too big of a blabbermouth and it's going to ruin your reputation. And I was like, I would tell everyone.
I know you would.
About my experience with the aliens. Everyone would know. And
you'd be like, vindicated bitches.
Yeah. And everyone would be like, this girl's really weird. And just say, step back. And they're like, nah, you got a business to run. You don't need to be fucking telling people about your alien encounters.
But at least you know you've had them.
Yeah, and then the other part is I know they're right. I could be like, you know what? If I just promised not to say anything, I'd see one. Not a chance. I would still tell everybody.
Yeah, you would. You would, if you saw something remotely unusual, you would be like sending me a Snapchat within 5 seconds. Holy shit!
Yeah.
You should have seen it.
And I'm like, don't tell anyone, as I tell everyone else I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not wrong. They usually aren't.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's so funny though.
It is.
But who would have ever painted you with the blabbermouth stick?
Probably no one. I feel like
you would be so quiet that I never ever would have been like, oh man, don't tell her a secret.
Oh, totally.
You know?
And like there's certain, like we talked about in the last episode, like gossip. I don't know a person, like certain people from a hole in the ground, so I'm likely not going to gossip about people. But you want a rare and unusual event, or like something slightly fascinating or conspiracy worth?
Done.
Fucking tell everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Love it.
So it's just so neat, like that, even that assumption piece. And it's like, I feel like we're just two random ass people. Like we're just like normal, regular, average people. And it's like we have these crazy stories that only are beginning to make sense to me now.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's like, well, what's your story? What's your lineage? What's your ancestral pattern? Because it's like you might not even know exactly what you are yet. So why would you start giving yourself a box or a book cover or a title? And it's like, I do use categories in the Akashic records, but if you don't, you aren't going to get any kind of information.
Yeah.
But it's like, make it a self-discovery journey.
And you guys, pay attention to your family members. If you start looking at them like a different way, like what makes you tick, especially the quiet ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like, what's up with you?
Especially the quiet ones.
I find that so... See, I wish I would have known this when I was younger, because I would have paid way more close attention.
Exactly. And like, there's this like cliche story where it's like, oh, ask your grandparents the questions now because you'll regret it when you're older and they're gone. 100%.
Yeah.
But I used to hear that and be like, oh, hearing the old history of the farm life, and I wasn't interested in that.
Snore.
Exactly. But it's like, did you ever bother to ask about things like that or their belief system? And my grandma was such a weird anomaly, the one who's seen the UFO. She didn't believe really in God or the Bible orally, but she believed in the angels because of those experiences.
Interesting.
Right? And it's like, I should have paid attention to that. That's weird.
Yeah.
I wish I could have asked more questions, but like I was a kid and I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, fuck, if you could go back. Here's a question. It's gonna be a twofold question.
Okay.
Question 1. If you could go back and hang out for an evening and ask all these questions, any questions that you want, with one family member of yours, who would it be?
Oh, man. Both my grandmas were so cool. Actually, P.S. My sister, we were talking about the spirit walker thing. I had this really quiet, don't hang out with kids grandpa who was obsessed with her because he could see the same spirits that she could.
That's fucking cool.
Right? So then all of a sudden he comes on the docket and I'm like, well, I want to know what that guy knows. But if I had to pick for my own personal reasons, because he wasn't really close to me, Alyssa needs to go back, my sister, and talk to him, I'd probably pick my grandma with the aliens because I'm like, I need to know more about that shit.
Sweet.
I'm sure there was way more stuff that happened to her.
Oh, for sure.
She's blocked it out, you know?
Or she just didn't talk about it.
Exactly. So I'd pick her.
Okay. Now, if you could have, dead or alive, any celebrity and pick their brains for an evening, who would it be?
Russell Brand.
Interesting. Good call.
That guy knows some shit.
Yeah.
And he's been through some shit, and he's kind of attractive. I'm calling Russell Brand.
Cool. I like it.
That was quick. I was like, when you asked it, I was like, who the fuck am I going to choose? That guy.
Nice.
What about you? Same questions to you.
Oh, God. See, well, my celebrity, easy. Alan Watts.
Mm-hmm. Good choice.
He's got an amazing voice. I know he's passed on and whatever, but that dude, like, he like, when I listen to him speak, I'm like, you're speaking the language of my soul. Like, this is exactly how I see things. And I'm like, thank you for putting that in such an eloquent way.
You guys are friends. soul friends or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we probably knew each other. Like, I just like, yes, thank you. That's exactly correct. I just knew him. I'm like, this is how I'm going to refer to this because that's the eloquent way of doing it, and not me going, the thing.
Totally.
So, and then family member. Like, part of me wants to say my grandma Lydia, like my dad's mom, because like I grew up with her.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I'd probably hang out with my Auntie Wanda.
Nice.
And pick her brain, because some shit's come up and some like meditation, some healing work I've done on my family members. And I'm like, I need some clarification on this, because people don't remember these things that come up. And I'm like, you would.
Totally. And if you got to talk to them while they were like on the spirit side, they would have like all of the resources and memories available. So sometimes that'd be cool. Like if I could bring her back into physical presence, it's like, I feel like trying to talk to her and get things out of her would be very difficult. But if you could talk to her in spirit form, pretty sure she would be a little more open to communicating.
Yeah. Like my grandma on my mom's side, it's like, never in a million years would she ever fucking say those words to me if she weren't passed on.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It's just kind of cool.
That is cool.
Russell Brand, eh?
Do you follow any of his stuff?
Yes, I do.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
And he like does things in a diplomatic way.
Oh yeah.
He's not like, you need to believe this and you need to know this. He's just like, have you ever looked at this? And do you understand why they're doing this? And he just makes you think, and then you come to the conclusion on your own, which is awesome.
So one of the ladies in my class, like when I took my mentorship class, met him, like went to one of his talks and stuff, and they have this beautiful picture of him like hugging her, and I'm like, you lucky bitch.
Totally.
And I can't remember what he called her. Esta, if you're listening, write and let us know again what he called you, if it was Soul Mama or something. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Damn it.
Beautiful.
I want to be called Soul Mama by Russell Brand.
Oh my God. If you met Esta, you would love her.
She follows my page and I've seen her. She's very memorable.
Oh my God. She's the most beautiful, amazing woman.
She totally is. She's very memorable. First of all, she has a cool name, but also her energy just like transcends even her Facebook or Instagram.
I know. She's just the fucking best. Shouts out to you, Esta. I fucking love you. Check her out at Higher Self Living, I think, on Instagram.
I think that's it, yeah. And
she's got, you guys, you'll see what we mean. She's just, oh my God, she's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's an earth angel. I'm pretty certain.
Nice. I could see that.
Yeah. She's very cool. Very cool lady.
Nice.
I met some really fucking cool people in that course.
Yeah, it was so cool because it was like, where was it run out of? Australia?
Yeah, Melbourne.
Yeah. So it seems like very like international, but also like nice little gypsies from Australia.
Yeah, like different places in Australia. A lot were from Melbourne, but an area, but
that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then there was one girl from the US and then me.
Neat.
In my class anyway. There's probably more now, but
that's awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was one of the best best/worst experiences of my life, just because you were forced to like deal with your shit in a very, very condensed amount of time, but it was so worth it.
I don't know if I would have made it through.
You would have. You just would have fought it a lot, but so did I. So no judgment.
Oh, God. I know. I'm so stubborn sometimes. It's like, I think this one that I mentioned it on? I don't even remember what podcast it was, but
I don't know. We've had so many. It's been like 14.
Oh my God. No. But I read for people like almost all day, every day. Do I ever look into my own information? Fuck no. So then when someone's like, you need to look at yourself, I'm like, I don't want to pay for this.
Cover the mirrors.
Yeah, I'll shine the mirror on everybody else, but when you shine it on me, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And Randy
turn that
knows.
spotlight out.
Yeah, Randy knows.
I get you.
It's because she's like my counselor, so it's like, fuck, every time.
I love how you call me, or you refer to me as your counselor.
Well, really.
Oh,
you are.
Man. It's too
Even
funny.
whenever I share your stuff on my own page, I'm like, this is my personal therapist. You need to check her out.
Yeah. I'm not, disclaimer, not a real therapist, but kind of.
Yeah, like maybe, okay, let's be honest. You're actually a real therapist, but you didn't come with a fancy title.
Yeah, I don't shrink the head. I open your heart.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love it. Yeah. Good times.
What were we talking about again? I feel like this was
know.
such a convoluted fucking all over the place.
I feel like clearly the theme, somehow, it's like divine guidance, right?
For sure.
Like the theme started, we knew we were going, and then all this other random shit came out that happened to feed into the theme.
But you know what? That's how if you've been listening to us for any amount of time, you realize that that's how spirit works through us, right? Like we channel shit. Like we just channel what the collective needs to hear.
Yeah.
And we're just going to go ahead and trust, even though we might have a plan going in, that whatever comes out, that's what you guys are meant to hear.
Totally. And this is not where I thought it was going.
No. Ancestors, aliens,
witch lineage.
What is happening? But it's been fascinating.
Oh yeah. Like obviously I'm biased because it's our lives and I'm interested in them, but like I feel like if I was listening, I'd be like, fuck, that's interesting.
Oh, I'd be listening like with bated breath. Like honestly, if I took myself out and like was listening to somebody else, I'd be like, whoa, what else did you do in the, like, as a ghoul? Like, what else is a witch? Like, you did what? Your grandma was an alien? Or, well, your grandma saw aliens? You know, like.
I was an alien too, who knows?
Yeah, that's probably where my mind would have gone listening to this. Your grandma was an alien, you know.
Totally.
Oh,
so fascinating. And I always like learning about you too, because it's like, again, it's like we've been friends, but not for like the longest amount of time.
But it doesn't feel like that though.
It feels like I've known you forever.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I know you. And then suddenly you'll tell me stories like, yeah, I went to school in Australia. I'm like, what the fuck? And you're like,
I didn't go to school in Australia. I just happened to, I went for like a course, a very like couple of day one, and then the rest was home study. But then, you know, I did take distance.
You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean. That's fascinating.
Yes.
Like I was like, oh wow. And then when she's in theater and teaching dance, I'm like, wow.
It was another lifetime ago.
But you know what I mean? It's like you can't guess what people have done, and usually it's like way more amazing than you give them credit for.
Yeah.
Usually.
It's true. Because never I'm like, you find this shit fascinating? What's fascinating about it?
I find it fascinating.
Yeah. But I also feel like I've known you since high school, and that's like you'd be in elementary school when I was in high school, so clearly that's not even remotely feasible.
I know. One time I have a friend who's a medium. Shout out to Shanice if she's listening.
Yes. By the way, Shanice, if you're listening, I read that book.
Oh my God, you have to tell me about it.
Yeah, I will.
So basically, I'm on the call with her. We're just friends, and she's talking, and I'm at Randy's house because we're like, I don't know, just working.
We were having a working date. You were doing my stuff, or your stuff. I was doing my stuff.
Yeah. So she calls me, and then she's, oh, is Randy there? And she's a medium, so she's picking up on shit. She's like, oh yeah, you guys are part of this old coven, and you're redoing. It's very divine. Like they were like, Randy, you have lots of earth medicine. Kayla's got this weird fucking, what'd she call it? Galactic. Something weird.
It was a word like that.
Yeah,
though.
so she's like, you guys are like similar, but like opposites in some ways, and then I forget I don't know. And I was like, oh yeah, and we've kind of felt like it was divine. And the more I learn about you, I'm like, that's weird. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we were both born at the same 222, I'm like, what the fuck? And I see 222. I think that's the most like the number I see the most all the time. Yeah, me too. Actually. It changes sometimes, but that's usually the one that never stops. Yeah. Like, always it's there. Yeah. Me too. Like, I'll see other stuff. For a long time, it was 7-Eleven. I'd see 7-Eleven all the time. Nice. I've been seeing lots of 99s lately, but I don't even know what that means. I've never even looked it up. 99 red balloons. That song. I'd sing the German lyrics if I knew them, but I don't. Me neither. Not a chance. Na, 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 da, 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 da. It's a good jam, though. It is a good jam. It is fun. It's one of those ones that comes on and you're just like, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. This is, when you're like, you're never going to go search it out. But when it comes on, you're like, fuck yeah. It's like, yeah, it's my jam. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh yeah. Good times. Kelly, what are we talking about? I don't know. Honestly, this feels like a bonus episode for Patreon. You guys, this is kind of what it's like. Yeah. Our bonus episodes. Like, we literally just talk about ourselves so you get to know us better. Yeah. That's our bonus episodes. Yeah. And we laugh a lot. Yes, definitely. Last time we drank wine, so you got a little bit of a... You got a little woo!
And we had eaten a big supper before, so we were like,
Yeah, drank wine, ate supper.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
Yeah.
Oh fuck,
It was good.
I might go listen to that tonight.
I should too. I
You
didn't
totally
listen to
should.
that one.
Oh my god, you should.
I can't even remember what we talked about because I was so tired and drank so much wine.
We talked about our hall passes and shit.
Oh yeah, who our hall passes would be.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, that's fun.
Oh yeah, there's some goodies in there. Anyway, we could probably stop talking now because we're just shooting this shit with you guys
For
now.
real.
But it's like we're hanging out with friends, and you don't want to leave your friends.
Exactly. So for the love of God, tell us about your stories or your ancestors, because I know you're like, I have stories to tell them, but I don't feel like I should. Can you
Yes,
just
you
tell
should.
us?
Please.
Because we're here rambling all the time about straight nonsense, and it's like it'd be nice to hear some of your stories.
Absolutely.
And we're
we will
talking.
reference them. We will tell your stories.
And we're talking to you.
And about you and to you.
Exactly.
So interact with us. Be our friends.
Yeah, please.
Please be our friends.
We can feel your energy, but we want to actually hear from you.
Absolutely. Isn't that weird though? I feel like every time we do this, I can feel more energy like in like a circle around us all the time.
Yeah. And sometimes I can see little pictures. I don't know if I'm making them up or not, but I see little pictures of people listening to them.
Oh yeah.
Like oh, in the car, and then you see them like, oh, they're just headphones on.
Mine's more like little sparks, like just energy sparks. Like I don't actually see anybody, but it'll be like little, or I'll see things out of the corner of my eyes. I'm like, oh yeah, that's somebody.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Anyway, you guys, so thank you for hanging out with us. Like we cannot thank you enough for this.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
This is like the highlight of our week, to be honest.
Totally. I was looking forward to it.
We love it.
Yes.
All right, you guys. We will stop talking your ear off now because this is pretty random. But anyway, join us next week when we will talk about we don't know.
Yeah, who the fuck knows?
Ooh, what are we going to get to next week? Ooh.
I know. It's actually fun for us to find out too.
Oh, totally. And it doesn't matter. We'll probably pick a topic and Spirit will be like, no, talk about this instead. So it's all good. It's all good. All right, you guys. We'll talk to you very, very soon. Love ya.
Bye.
Bye.